Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm sharing with you guys my July 2020 bullet journal setup, although this time things are a bit different because we are going with my iPad instead of my A4 bullet journal. So if you've seen some of my other planning videos before, you'll know that I usually use a Dingbats A4 bullet journal, but today I'm using the GoodNotes5 app. I recently purchased this iPad, so I'm going to be doing a full video on why I bought it and like how I'm finding it so far, and probably like a full GoodNotes5 tutorial. So if you would like to see that, let me know in the comments below. But right now you can just see that I'm setting up a 12-week goals little spread because right now I'm at the beginning of my next 12-week period where I can set new goals and get on track for some new goals. So if you've seen some of my other 12-week planning videos, you'll know what I mean by this. But I can do a separate video going through the process of assigning the 12-week goals, as well as sort of like the steps I'm taking towards them. If you guys would like to see that, again, let me know in the comments below so I can go through a video where I'm actually going through all of my goals for the next 12 weeks if you would like to see that. So at the moment I'm just assigning 4 different spaces for each individual goal to go. So I usually just do about 4 goals because you're typically supposed to only pick a few main goals to work on. And you can just see here I'm playing around with the colors a bit. So you can see in GoodNotes5 the beauty of digital planning is that it's so flexible. You can just like select things and change their colors. But I did like the color scheme I'm going for this month, so I changed it back. But just to show you that it is so simple to do that. And then I'm moving on to my first main spread for July. So this is going to be my calendar layout. And again, you can see how simple it is to do. Like, it automatically turns into a very clear-cut rectangle when you are working with the GoodNotes5. It just automatically does everything perfect for you. So it's really been very convenient compared to other methods. So I've definitely been enjoying using this so far. You can just draw very jagged lines and they will automatically correct into straight lines. And it's very easy to undo things. So if you're not as careful or as good at doing things perfectly, then this can kind of be a helpful way to do things pretty well without spending a ton of time. Like, this whole setup took me maybe 30 minutes to do, so definitely feel like it is very useful and very helpful. You can see even here I made a mistake by not putting in enough, like I just made one line a bit too short, so then I could easily just rub things out. And now I'm just tightening up the kind of calendar layout, so I just made a big block to start off, and now I'm like erasing the extra days and then going back and just kind of like finishing up the little corners and things like that I would have accidentally rubbed out. So it's so handy to be able to zoom in and just do things perfectly, and using the erase function and things like that, so it is really helpful. Now I'm just adding in my title for the month, which is July. And again, you can see it's just handy. Like, I'm not particularly good at lettering, so being able to go over things a couple of times is much better than messing it up on the page and then either starting again or having to look at it. Like, I'm not a perfectionist, but it's still nice to be able to get things pretty good. And now I'm using the highlight function to color in the text. And when you color in with the highlighter, it just goes underneath the black line, which means that when you go a little bit outside the line, you can't really tell. So again, that's just convenient as well. Here I'm using the zoom in function in GoodNotes5, which means I can actually get a really good close-up of it. And I'm just adding in, again, a highlight for the days of the week that I'm now putting in at the top of the calendar, which I'm doing this kind of ice cream palette, I want to say, for July. So it's like blue, yellow, and pink, but kind of fun colors that I really like. I don't know, they really pop for this kind of ice cream palette summertime vibes. I'm just adding in a little circle onto each day, which I'm then going to add on the actual date to each of these. And again, this was super quick and easy compared to trying to get things perfect. It was just a simple dot. And the same, adding in all of the days of the week was pretty easy, and it also means that when you mess things up, you can always go back. So you can see at the end, I just went back and fixed one of the numbers that I didn't really like. It was a little bit too small, so I just went back at the end and fixed that pretty easily compared to trying to use whiteout or Tipex or whatever to try and do that normally. So now I'm just adding in down the bottom 2 squares. So this is similar to the bullet journal layout that I did for May. If you've seen that one, I added in this kind of goals box and a to-do box. So I don't really need a ton of planning space for this summer because I don't have classes on or anything, but I do want to just kind of add in some monthly goals as well as my 12-week goals, and some to-dos as well. So that's it for this spread. I'm just adding in a little bit of decoration at the end just to kind of tie in together the color palette completely. So I'm just adding in some circles to kind of add to that kind of pop of color. For these spreads, I like to keep them pretty simple. Like, I just like having a little bit of decoration. I don't like going too over the top, but I just think that added a nice little bit of extra something. So moving on now to my weekly overviews. So again, this is pretty similar to the bullet journal spread that I did for May. So I'm just adding in a weekly overview so that I have kind of a detailed place to add in things at the start of each month. So at the beginning here, I'm just adding in a title for the overview, and you can see that I had some trouble with it in a sense. But the thing about GoodNotes5 is that you can just kind of try different things and see what is working and what isn't. So here I decided eventually to just write it up, and then I would continue to reduce the size of it whenever it got too large. So here you can see I'm selecting it and just resizing it so that it fits in a bit better. And then I just go back and continue to write on it, and then I resize it again. So that just kind of goes on for a little while. But that's, again, I just wanted to show you that there is some such really useful things you can do in GoodNotes5 that can really make things so much easier when you are like stuck for time but like not really wanting to spend a lot of time going over things. So now I'm just outlining the title so that we have a bit of definition to it. So I just wanted to add a bit of definition, and I tried out a few different things, and then I just decided to outline them. So now I'm just adding in the individual boxes for each of the week. So I decided to do 8 kind of length boxes, I guess, so that I can fit in each day of the week. So I just played around with this for a little bit of a while, and I included 5 weeks here because July, the way it falls, Wednesdays are in the first week and the last week, which means we have kind of a longer month than usual. So yeah, I just played around with this for a while, and then I added in each of the days of the week along the side, and I also split up the boxes. So I had a box for my PhD projects, for my thesis, for my YouTube stuff, for Daisier, the startup company that I'm launching at the moment, as well as for personal things. So that means that I have kind of a detailed place to plan out my month without having to do all of the weekly spreads up front. And yeah, this spread was super useful the last 2 months, so I highly recommend something similar where you can just have an overview of your month and all of the different things you might need to do. So now moving on to my final spread, which is my weekly spread for the week starting on the 29th of June. So I guess depending on how you prefer to do things, I usually just keep whatever week the Wednesday is in, then that's part of that month. So for example, if the Wednesday had been part of June, I would have kept this week in the June month, but it doesn't really matter. It's whatever you want to do. So here I decided to go for a time blocking system. So I did out kind of different times of the day from 6 a.m. down to 10 p.m. And then I added in all the days of the week up the top, and this way I can time block my day, which I just feel like is the most effective way to really plan. And I don't have a ton of different events at the moment, so there's no real need to have a ton of planning space for me at the moment, especially with there being not that much to do. But basically I just decided that I wanted to make this part a bit longer after I spent some time doing it. So then I just went back and fixed everything, like doubled the size, just to give myself a bit more space to do the planning. So once that was done, I just wanted to show you guys an example of how I do time blocking. So considering Monday had already passed, I just showed you what I did actually do on this day. So I time blocked the day, divided it up into different squares and rectangles for different tasks, and then afterwards I added labels to the tasks. And what's great about doing this digitally is means that you can actually plan out your whole week in terms of, let's say you're going to be doing project work, and then later on in the week you can go back and change that to something else if you know exactly what you wanted to work on for that project. So for example, I changed project work to clustering. And lastly, I'm just adding in a space to be able to track different things. So before I was doing this with individual doodles, but here, because I only have one page, usually I had a 2-page spread. So I'm just adding like a little pie chart almost that I can color in based on whether I do different things. So exercising, eating well, doing deep work, and different things like that. So I copied that and just added in one of those for each day of the week. Which I realized afterwards I did 7. I don't need all of those things every day, but anyways. So yeah, that was just what I added in there at the end, so that during the week I can color that in and look back and make sure. So it's sort of like a little habit tracker that's just done on a weekly spread instead of on a monthly spread. And so far I found these kinds of trackers have been really helpful for keeping me on track for different things. So probably I will just fixing everything there a little bit at the end and getting it finalized. So a final flip through of my spreads from today. I hope this video was useful if you're considering doing bullet journaling in an iPad, and be sure to stick around if you want to see my general iPad video and GoodNotes tutorial, as well as feature videos about planning and PhD life and things like that. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.